welcome to another episode of You're the Voice. I'm super excited to be here today with a very, very beautiful soul, beautiful person. Her name is Maya Alper, and she's going to introduce herself to us in a minute. Hi, Maya.
Hi.
So good to have you here with me. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So I'll tell you why I invited you, because when I first saw your post on Facebook, which had a lot of text, but also a video and some photos, I was glued to you from that moment on, because what you did there is no less than a miracle. You managed to somehow capture one of the hardest moments, maybe in your life, but definitely in all of our collective consciousness in the past, I don't know how many years, and bring that moment to life with, with holding such a complex situation where you had to face a huge atrocity, a massacre, and a great amount of fear, I'm sure. But at the same time, you handled it with such bravery, courage, and you had so much love and compassion towards yourself and towards the people around you. And you were just full of hope. And that was the most unpredictable thing in the world, because no one would expect someone that's going through a horrible situation like the one you went through to not come out of it, but to experience it as you're experiencing it in such an inspiring, positive, strangely even encouraging way.
Breathing for believing, for praying for myself.
It is so, I did not take that for granted for a second, and I was shocked to see it. We will obviously put the link to the video and the post in the notes so everyone can go and check it out and see it. And we will also show the video soon. But I just wanted to, first of all, say a huge thank you for who you are and what you did in that moment, because I think you gave so many people so much hope and so much strength and so much courage without even realizing that that's what you're doing in that moment. All you were trying to do is probably quiet yourself down and calm yourself down and find a moment of peace inside that madness. But by doing that, you gave that gift to everyone around you, myself included. So huge thank you from me and from everyone that feels the same after they watch this and read you.
Thank you. Wow. I'm working on receiving, so thank you.
Yeah, take it in. And you know, I feel like I've met you in a time where I've started my spiritual journey about, I can say 10 years ago, but I think 3 years ago properly. And I think I'm meeting you at a time where you're younger than me, much younger than me, but you're on your spiritual path and you are bringing forward such important lessons for me and for other people that I just want to grab that from you. And I wanted also to emphasize, because that's one of my messages in the past 10, 12 days since this hell started. One of my messages is that the journey doesn't stop because of a war or because of a crisis or because of an emergency or because of a breakdown, which I'm experiencing, you're experiencing, everyone around us is experiencing, even a meltdown, I would say. And the journey doesn't stop. Not the spiritual journey and not our human journey. Our experiences, they just keep going. They don't care about our emotions. Life keeps going, and we need I think what we're here for in life is it's like a school, is to learn. We come here to experience things and then to learn from them and then to move on to the next lesson and the next lesson and the next lesson, and then we die, right? That's life. And then maybe we come back again, or come back as something else, another entity, another creature. But we learn. All of life we learn. And from you, I learned so much without even knowing you. So I feel so privileged to be spending the next hour with you and learning more about you and from you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I highly agree with everything. I think that like we practice all of this time and we do our practices for this time right now. Like this is why we're doing it. This is why we're meditating. Like when I started meditating 3 years ago for the first time, I could barely sit still for 5 minutes. And here I was for 6 hours without moving a muscle. And it's like, that's why we're doing it, not to stop like when it's getting rough or when it's getting hard. It's like, that's why we do it. We can make everything a prayer and everything a meditation. And that's the goal eventually, not just this 10 minutes in the morning when we sit to meditate. We want to do it to make, my goal is to make my life a living prayer, like to make everything a prayer and put intentions in everything and not just the morning practice or whatever. So I highly agree with it. And we need to always keep going. It doesn't matter what happens.
Amazing. I want you to take us to your background. Maya, tell us a bit about yourself so that people can know you a bit.
So I'm Maya. I was born in Israel and I'm 25 years old. And when I was younger, I was a nature girl. I was riding horses. I'm a dog trainer. And at first, after the army, I started learning about dogs, and that's became a really big passion of mine. It always has been, but as a profession also. And I was a tank instructor in the army. I feel like I need to say it, even though it's not even close to who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
But the last couple of years, the last 3 years, I started my spiritual journey, which I think everything is a spiritual journey. We're not human beings having spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So like a lot of people say, and I highly agree with it. And I started traveling the world, and I moved to Guatemala about a year ago. I got them for the first time 3 years ago, and I fell completely in love with the place. And I lived in a fairy palace for like a couple of months, where I discovered fairies are real, and I discovered my feminine side.
Seriously? A fairy palace? Oh my God. Can I come visit you?
Oh, it's so magical. You're so welcome. It's like the most magical place. And yeah, I realized I'm a fairy. I had no idea. I was so in my masculine because, everyone in Israel are so like in their masculine.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world, it's a really masculine world in general.
Yeah.
And in the fairy palace for the first time, I was like, oh, I can be a fairy. Oh, I actually like my feminine side. Oh, actually, softness is really nice. And I started to discover all these magical things. And I was like, wow, there's a whole different world out there that I didn't even know existed. And it feels really good in my body. Like, it feels good. Everything up until that point felt wrong. Like, the world felt wrong in a lot of ways. And
Wow.
most of my life growing up. And it just felt really good.
What do you mean it felt wrong? Tell me a bit more about that.
It's funny because I came to visit now Israel from Guatemala, and right before I came, I did this like breathwork course, like level 3. It's like 11 days when you go like back to your past, and you have to call your mom to ask her about your childhood, like being a baby and stuff. So I called her and I was like, tell me about me being a baby. And she was like, Maya, you were an angel from the very first moment. Like, your big brother was horrible. He never stopped crying. And it's like you realized that we're having a hard time with him, and you just were so amazing, and you were so sensitive to everyone, and everyone loved you until you got to first grade. And you lost it. And I hated school. It never made any sense to me. Like, I felt I hated it. It never made any sense. And then the army, which is a horrible experience by itself, and like losing a lot of friends that chose to kill themselves during the army and after the army,
no.
and like having to deal with it, and like it never it never felt right. Like being in school, I remember I went to a meeting with my principal as like a child in like eighth grade, and I told her, "You're asking us all to do the same thing. You're asking a monkey, a fish, and a giraffe to climb a tree, and I'm feeling stupid my whole life, and I'm not stupid. You're stupid." And it never
Wow.
felt right. I was like, I'm just going back and I'm getting mad. I'm like, it
Well,
felt wrong.
I feel you, dear. I feel you. Yeah. The
And
the education system, the way it's designed, it's just wrong.
the person that founded the system, he has an interview where he says, "I wanted a nation of workers, not of thinkers." So they asked him, "What are you going to teach them? Everything about nothing." And I'm like, whoa, I started to learn about breath this last year. And now what I'm doing, I'm teaching breath work in Guatemala and to Israelis who's going to their trip after the army and like whoever wants to. And
Well
I'm
done.
learning about breath. And I'm like, how come no one ever taught me how to breathe? I'm
Yeah.
like 25 years old and just now I understand that I'm using only 10% of my lungs. I can use more. What? That's amazing. Why did no one tell me? And I'm like, what do they teach us in school? That's like such bullshit.
No one teaches us about breath. No one teaches us about energies. No one teaches us even about money. No one teaches us about money, which is how we live our daily earthly lives. No one's teaching us about communication, things that are like basic in life and we need
So
them.
basic. How
Like
to heal our bodies. We can each and every
how
one
to
of us
heal
can
our
heal
bodies.
our
Exactly.
bodies. We don't need anything from outside.
Exactly.
No one's talking about it, and it's mind blowing to me. Like
There is so much knowledge and so much wisdom and so much information within us that we just need to tap into if we are given the option. It's not a permission. We don't need a permission for it, but we think we do.
yeah.
Because this system is designed in that way to keep it away from us so that we don't know, so that we don't, make ourselves more knowledgeable, resourceful, sovereign.
So
And
we don't make
we
our
need
own.
someone else to take care of us. We give our powers away, right?
We have so much powers. I believe we're all gods and goddesses, and like no one's willing to see themselves that way. Like I see now with the post, so many people are sending me messages like, "Wow, you're a prophet or an angel." I'm like, "No, you are." Like, why can't you see it? But if you can see it in me, you can see it in yourself, and that's how I saw it in me for the first time. Like, I got to the fairy palace and I met this amazing girl, and she sees herself as a goddess. She knows how it is. She knows how it works. And at first, I thought I was falling in love with her, and then I realized that I was falling in love with myself near her because she saw me as the goddesses that I was. I could see it. Like when I was with her, I could see the goddesses that I am until I embodied it. And
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. Okay, so you now still live in Guatemala. I mean, you're going back there soon. Now you're in Israel, right?
yeah, I came to visit family and friends and like kind of pack up my home, like to officially move because up until now I wasn't there and I wasn't here. And I was like, okay, I need to make a decision. So I made the hardest decision in my life, which is giving up my dog and my cat as a dog trainer. It's a really difficult choice, but the last months felt like I was literally putting all that I am on the altar of love in sweet surrender. And
Wow.
it was beautiful. I felt like a lot of my ego got dissolved by doing that. Like selling all of my stuff. Like what's mine? That's not my dog. She's her own dog. I was just watching. She's her own being. I was just watching
Yeah,
over her now. So that was like a big
that
part.
is very difficult to say goodbye. I'm sure she'll be waiting for you whenever you decide to
Yeah, she's
come
amazing.
back to her.
She has an amazing home now. She lives with her best friend. I'm not worried about her.
Great. Okay, great. And so you came to Israel the end of August to spend a couple of months here, right?
Yeah.
And so tell us a bit about what happened last Saturday, the 7th of October. So take us back a bit. I don't want to dwell too much into it. I know it's not easy for you, and I will direct people to the post you wrote for all the details of what happened there, but just what you can in general strokes, just so people get the context of what happened and what kind of situation you were in.
Yeah. So I went to work. I was going to work at a festival. I was in charge of the environmental of the party. It's called Econova. Nova was the name of the festival. And my job was there are helpers, like people that come, they donate 4 hours of their time and they get a free ticket. And my job was to be in charge of them and like instruct them what to do. We were handing out trash bags so the environment stays clean. We explain people that if they give the reusable cups like back to the bar, they can get a free shot or a free bottle of water, like, you know, encouraging them to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
I never want to post anything. And that day I was like, oh, when the sunrise, I'll take a picture and I'll post getting paid to be me, like dancing and loving Mother Earth. Like, how does it get any better than this? Like, literally, like, that's the dream. And I was sitting there for a couple of hours and my job was for 4 a.m. to 4 afternoon. So I got there around 2:30, 3 in the morning and I saw so many friends there. I got there by myself, and Israel is a small country, so like we all know someone that right now is has been murdered, killed, or is serving right now somewhere. And I just kept seeing friends there, which was really fun for me because I came by myself. And around the sunrise, actually a really good friend that had a birthday the day after. And I had a deck of fairy cards for her as a gift and like balloons in my bag for her. And she came to see me and we're so happy because we haven't seen each other in so long. And we're looking at the sunrise and I told her, dude, look at this beautiful day. What a beautiful sunrise. How beautiful is she? Is the sun? Like, how amazing it is that we're dancing and like having fun. And I missed you so much and I love you. And like, you know, that sort of things. And we got separated. And about, like, she went to see a friend. I kept doing my job. About 3 minutes later, and the alarms of like the bomb started to go off. And we're really close to Gaza Strip. So when the alarms go off now, when I live in my home in Estiona, it's like we have 2 minutes to go to a shelter, and there it's like 15 minutes, 15 seconds,
15
sorry.
seconds, yeah.
15 seconds, and we were in an open field. It's like, you know, it's a nature festival thing, like kind of thing. And at first, with like, you know, in Israel, it's usual, like it's not surprising that we have alarms and stuff. So like, oh, they fucked up our party, but we thought it was only that. Like it's a matter of like getting out of there and like, you know, just the bombs. And at first I got lower. I did my prayers. I went to Durga, Om Dum Durga Namaha. She's like the great mother protector from India. And I was like, oh, be with me. Like everything is okay. And then they started evacuating everyone. So I was like, okay, let's get out of here. And I had a communication thing from the production, and I stayed like 20 more minutes trying to figure out where to put it back. And looking back, it's so stupid because my car is still there, you know? My car with all of my bag and my most precious things are still there, and I'm not allowed to go there. And I stayed 20 more minutes, like, for a fucking walkie-talkie to
Wow.
give it back. And after 20 minutes, I gave it back. I found who to give it to. And I was like, whoa, it's like 20 minutes and it's not stopping. It's like, it's not usual. Usually it's like a bit and it stops, and it's a bit weird. Then I was like, maybe I should stay here a bit more, like, and not drive, because like everyone, we were 4,000 people at the festival. So, you know, the road kind of got blocked already. And my mom called me because the alarms were here in the center too. And she was like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, you know, everything is okay. I'm just trying to figure out if to stay, to wait it out or go back. And then I saw this one guy, and he was sitting laid back like this, looking up at the bombs with the scariest smile I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, okay, if that's the people that are staying, I want out of here. Like, that guy probably saved my life. But I saw his smile and something was like, no, that's off. It doesn't feel right. Like, I want to go. And I have to say that my friend, the one that I saw the sunrise with before, called me this week, like a lot after. And she was like, Maya, do you remember what you told me that morning when we looked at the sunrise 5 minutes before everything happened? I'm like, no, what did I say? She was like, girl, you told me that it looks like there's something weird in people's eyes. It looks like so many people don't need to be here. Like, some you told me something is off 5 minutes before
Wow.
everything is happening. And when I'm thinking about it back now, I truly believe that a lot of souls kind of left their body a bit before everything that has happened. Because
Wow.
like an hour before, something started to feel weird. Like, I looked into people's eyes, and the eyes is the gateway to the soul, and something was weird. It's like people weren't there. And that's what I told her. And she was like, "Do you realize you told me people are not here? People are not meant to be here. Something is weird."
Wow. I have got chills. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and I
You
completely
you you
forgot about it.
sensed it.
I'm telling you, something was weird. Like, I thought, like, that's not my parties. Like, that's, I love those parties, but like it's not my type of music. I go to a bit
Yeah.
of different things, and I'm like, I went to work there, and I was like, okay, I'm not judging anyone. That's their things, but something did feel a bit off. And when I
Mhm.
saw that guy's smile, like, I'm pretty sure, like, it felt the same. It felt wrong. So I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. I got into my car, and my goal in life is to make my life a living prayer. That's what I'm working for. That's what I'm doing. So before every car ride, I always like call Durga regardless to the situation. And I'm like, please, the dragon protector is a fairy. I'm like, the dragon protector, keep me, everyone in this car, everyone around this car safe, guided, and protected during this ride. So everyone were panicking around me, and I got into my car, and I did a bit of a longer prayer. I was like, let's make sure everyone's getting home like safely, and like everyone that will be in this car, everyone that is in this car, around this car, is just safe, guided, and protected. And I really like stopped again and like did this really deep prayer with myself. And I started driving, and I got out of like the dirt road. And yeah, I won't get into too much details, but I got into the road, and I saw like I saw gunshots on the road, and like people falling down to the ground, because like in Gaza Strip, in front of every village, there is a bomb shelter. So many people got out of the party and into the bomb shelters, like, because it was really nearby, and the alarms didn't stop going off. And the terrorists literally went there, massacring everyone there. They threw grenades in there and shot everyone that went to the bomb shelters to take cover from what was going on. And I saw in front of those bomb shelters gunshots and people running, and I turned around, and I called my dad, and I was like, "Dad, I think they're terrorists. People are falling down. I see gunshots. I'm not sure what to do." And he was like, "Maya, why gunshots? What are you talking about? Are you tripping? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually super sober. I didn't do anything, but something's wrong." And then I realized he can't help me, and I'm out there alone, and I'm just getting him stressed. So I did what I know to do best. I teach breath work. That's what I do. That's what I'm learning. So I was like, okay, I don't know what to do right now. I realized I'm blocked because the terrorists were on both sides of the road, and I couldn't get out of that road. So I stopped on the side of the road, because like besides the bombs and the terrorists, people were driving like crazy on the road because we couldn't get out. So I stopped on the side of the road, and I closed my eyes and I breathed because that's what I know how to do. And I was actually really calm the entire time. Like, I'm talking to you right now. I'm like, I talked to me, like, yeah, I think there's terrorists on the road. Like, I was super calm. Like, and the more I think about it and going back before, it's like my soul knew exactly what it was going to. And like, I've
Yeah.
been preparing for this moment, like for the last 3 years, and the last year specifically. So I was just like, really taking it a minute by minute. I wasn't thinking far, and like, yeah, I was just being and like seeing what's the best thing I can do in my now moment every time. So I stopped, and I breathed, and I opened my eyes, and I saw that the cars were going. Oh, a moment of gratitude. I have 4 alarms every day. The only time in my life I closed them were in the bush because I didn't want to.
Really? Yes, of course.
So thank you for listening to me, because it's a moment of gratitude. So thank you for sharing my voice and helping me.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.
Sorry. And but I decided to try and go back and see if the road was open. And I saw 3 people at the side of the road from the party. So I stopped near them and was really close to where I saw the terrorists. And I asked them, like, the road open, and they were like, no, they killed everyone, like
Oh,
turn around,
fuck.
go away, we just ran around, they're coming, like run away. And I turned my car and I started driving, and then I hit the brakes, and I was like, then what are you doing here? Get into my car, like come with me. And not that it helped, but we got into the car and we're really confused. And anyway, we ended up like on the side of the road. We got off the road to a dirt road, which was really close to the main road, and was like 2 kilometers from a mile and a half from Berry. And we were between these two big metal containers, and because in my perspective at that time we realized there are a lot of terrorists, and we heard automatic gunshots coming all over, like all over from every village around. And the people that were with me, they were super nervous. They're like, we're gonna die, and they were on their phones all the time. And like then they said like there are terrorists at the party, they're throwing grenades there. And we looked back at the party and we see this huge screen of black smoke and coming from the party area. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And I realized that I'm starting to get a bit nervous again. And like, I'm not helping them by being so calm, because it didn't make sense to them
Yeah.
and they're not helping me. So I was like, okay, everyone can do their own thing. I went to my car and I took 2 crystals out and that I had in my bag. And I sat down in lotus posture between the two metal containers, and I did my breath work. And did my breath work, and I held my breath, because when we hold our breath, we open a channel between our conscious or unconscious. And I went really, really strong with Durga. I went with the Durga mantra, and I was holding my breath for a while, and I was just spiraling her around me. And I'm like, girl, have my back in this. Like, I'm not nervous. I know you're with me. Like, have my back here. And I literally opened my eyes. Like, I released the breath and opened my eyes, and I saw all the 3 people that were with me starting to run, and they're screaming to me, run, run. And I started hearing screams in Arabic behind me, Allah Akbar, then like the scream, and I'm like, whoa, okay, it's here now. And I go between the two metal containers and I start running, and I hear gunshots like whistling
Oh,
like near
fuck.
my head, and I'm like, okay, it's here. And I'm looking around me, and I'm in an open field, and the 3 Israelis that were with me already started running. They're farther away from me. I hear about 5 or 6 people behind me, and I'm like, okay, Maya, you can't run away. Like, they have guns. You're in an open field.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. And I passed the metal container and I looked to my right, and between the road to the dirt road, I saw a bush. And it had like this small like entrance to it, because it's like really tangled, dried bush with a lot of dried branches. And I just jumped head on in there, and I had no idea. I was like, okay, it's either they're gonna see me jumping in there, and and I have nowhere to run to, or I'm just gonna keep running. And I heard one of the guys screaming to me, don't stop, don't stop. And I'm like, I was in my bush, and I was like, well, I'm here. It is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna move now. And I was literally half in the bush. It was half of my body was inside, and I was kind of laying on top of it. I wasn't really in it. And as I laid on it, like as I fell on it, I heard a scream, and I turned back and I saw the woman that was with me falling to the ground, and the terrorist 3 meters parallel to me, shooting at her, and she fell down, and he had the biggest smile on his face. He put his hands up in the air and
Oh,
said, like he
fuck.
just won the lottery. Like, they truly didn't see us as human beings there. And I was like, I was there, and I was, the only thing I had in my mind was Durga. Like, I wasn't in fear, even when I was running. It was really like calm. I had this calmness that I don't usually, like, I'm a calm person lately, but you know how we Israeli are. We have short temper, and we're like, I went back to living with my parents now, and yeah, I read this book that says it doesn't matter how enlightened you think you are, go spend a week with your parents. So I'm experiencing it now. I get mad at my mom, and like I was so calm there, and I heard so many gunshots afterwards, and I thought they killed everyone that were with me. And then they went back, and I realized that when they're going back, there is a huge chance they're going to see me. I'm right on the dirt road. I'm halfway outside. Like, they're probably going to see me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I did so good up until now. I'm so proud of myself. I am just gonna close my eyes because if it's gonna come, I don't want to know it. But if I'm going out, I'm doing it with a smile. Like for two reasons. One, if my mom is gonna find my body, she's gonna find a smiling body. Like that's for sure. And I have two things that are predictable in life. There are only two things from my perspective that I see that I know they're coming. And it's that mistakes. I'm gonna make so many mistakes in my life. I'm not gonna, you know, make it so, oh, how did I do that? Like whip myself. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that happened. No, I'm gonna make so many mistakes. Like I'm good with them. I'm
Yeah.
loving them. I'm embracing them. And the other one is I'm gonna die. So, that's the only thing that I know for certain it's gonna happen in life. So I was like, if it is now, I'm doing it with a smile. Like I'm not being scared of it. I'm ready to do it. This human experience was overwhelming anyway. Like I'm good with it. And I just closed my eyes and I had the biggest smile like ever. And I was just sitting there in my bush and I heard them like stopping next to me. They stopped right near me. They were talking, they were changing the bullets, their
No.
guns, and they didn't see me. I truly
Wow.
feel like we were on completely different frequencies. We were on the same physical earth, but two completely different frequencies that they couldn't physically see me. Because I can't have any other explanation to how come they didn't see me. I was so out there, like, and they were next to me. I could
You're
hear them.
saying you were like half exposed and they could have seen you and they didn't see you.
I have no idea how it happened. My eyes were closed. I don't know if they looked at me or not, but I'm like, how come? Like, even if they didn't do, like, I have no idea. I truly am. I'm grateful
Wow,
and
you were protected. It's like the Harry Potter cloak.
literally that's how I felt. I
The
felt it just
bush was like that cloak, it was protecting you.
yeah, and I was so out there. The bush didn't have any leaves on it. It was so dry, and I was laying on top of it. I wasn't in it at that point.
Yeah.
And they left. I heard them trying to start my car, and it's a really old car. And I'm like, I was in my
Good
mind
luck with that.
dancing. Like I was in a really good spirit. I was like, dude, before the code and starting the car, you need to wait a minute, like, or it's not gonna start. Like that's what I was had in my mind.
Oh man.
And and then they left, and I was like, okay. And I couldn't move still for a couple of minutes, and then I tried to go deeper into the bush, and I felt really exposed in it, but I didn't want to go out of it. And my dad called me because I kind of disappeared, and I guess they started to see what was going on, and I started to realize what was going on down there. And I answered my dad the phone. I do not feel sorry. Like, I'm so sorry that this is what he heard from me at that time. But I was like, Dad, I'm under a bush. Terrorists just ran after me and shot after me. I think they killed everyone that was with me. Please don't tell mom. Like, I don't know what to do. And I hung up the phone. I went deeper into my bush, and then I silenced my phone. And that was when I turned off my alarms for my gratitude moments. And I was like, okay, I'm in the bush. I have my two crystals with me. I have my phone, and that's what I have right now. And I thought it's gonna be a matter of minutes, because we're in the strip and army and everyone's supposed to come.
Yeah, exactly. Army's supposed to get there, yeah.
And I
And
started
it
being there, and I
wasn't.
sent my big brother and my dad opened a WhatsApp group with me, and I sent my location, and we're like, okay, every 15 minutes send us a message, save your battery, like let's see how things unfold. And they were trying, I called the police. They didn't even pick up. And my dad and brother called the police, and told them that I'm there. And then my 6 hours at the bush started. I was a mile and a half from Be'eri. Be'eri was one of the main centers of like where everything happened. And for hours I just heard non-stop gunshots and alarms and bombs over my head and screams of women and children and men. And I knew, like, I realized what was happening. I realized that the terrorists are here, and they're massacring families and families and families. They're massacring everyone. And It was
Wow.
a lot, like for a really long time, and to be there. And yeah, and at one point the tourist kept like I was right on the road. And it's funny, the night before at Shabbat meal, I told my family, like, my grandpa and my cousins came for Shabbat, and I told them, okay, I'm going to sleep early because I'm going to work in the middle of the night. And I'm like, where are you going? I'm like, to Gaza. And they're like, no, to Gaza Strip. And I'm like, yeah, Gaza. And I was literally in Gaza. It was Gaza for a couple of hours. They did whatever they wanted there. They drove, they passed my bush so many times from the side of the road and from the dirt road. Where I ran away, the terrorists moved near my, like, meters from me a couple of times. They were looking for us in the bushes. And
There's
and
another siren over my head. Sorry if there's noise, but I'm not going anywhere. If it's my time, it's my time, I'm with you. Keep going, dear.
yeah, I will have to go if there will be one because I live
No
with my
problem. You
parents
can, yeah,
now.
we will pause it if there's a siren over your head. No problem.
But I was there. I was
And they
sitting.
kept going for 6 hours, and there was no police and no army and no
Barely.
helicopter in the sky and nothing.
There was one helicopter after a while that went over Barely. I texted in the group and I was like, "Does the helicopter know I'm here? Is it coming to rescue me?" I was like, "Is someone aware that I'm here and I'm in the need of a rescue? Like, what's going on?" Like, I didn't know. Like, I realized what was happening, and at one point, I was kind of hoping that all the gunshots I'm hearing was a fight between the Israeli army to the terrorists, but it wasn't. It was pure on for hours, the terrorists massacring innocent people, like literally hours. And I broke really quietly the branches from inside my bush and to go deeper because it was a dried bush, like they could see through it. So I kept raking it and putting it outside.
Sorry,
And
there was a big
yeah,
bang. Sorry.
and put it outside, like to cover me. And at one point I realized that I can't wiggle my, oh, I heard it too. I can't wiggle the fingers in my left foot. And I was like, okay, I have to change position. Like, so I made it faster and I straightened my legs and I was like this for like hours. And then a bird sat on my bush. And then I had this big sigh of relief. I was like, okay, if the bird is sitting on my bush and she can't see me, it means that Hamas and the terrorists can't see me either. So I had this big sigh of relief. And then I was like, wait, birds. And I closed my eyes and I listened. And between all of the gunshots and bombs and screams, I heard the birds singing. And I just kept focusing on that. And then I looked up, and between the scream of smoke, I saw the blue sky. And I was like, okay, everything is okay. Like, I was still in my mantras, and I was like, I did have this phase in the bush where, like, I saw my body shaking a bit and I felt my heart,
Yeah.
but I kept going
Yeah.
back to, like, my breath and my mantras and Ganesha and Durga and, like, being with myself and everything I've learned. And then I just, like, every time I had a thought of like any fear, anger, hate, revenge coming to my mind, I stopped. I was like, no, Maya, it's not serving you. That feels wrong in my body. And I gave gratitude to three things in my now moment. So I gave gratitude to my bush for protecting me, and for the birds for singing to me, for the sun for giving light, for the wind for making me colder because the sun was on me and I had no water, and for myself for doing such an amazing job in this time. And I just kept focusing on that. And I knew I was getting out. I was like, after a couple of hours, it was getting hard. I felt like I was gonna pass out. And
Wow.
I started to write my dad and my brother. I was like, I'm just sharing, it's getting a bit rough. I feel like I'm kind of like snoozing out, and like the sun is on me, and I was with the long sleeves because everything happened like at sunrise and it was still chilly, and I didn't have any water, and like, I didn't eat anything for so long. I was like, I feel like it's getting a bit rough in the bush because up until now I was trying to show myself and them that, everything is good, and trying to make joke in the group. And then I was like, okay, Maya, if your physical body is getting a hard time, like I was trying to get to my body up until that point. I was like, do you remember time travel is a real thing, right? So let's do that. And I was like, then let's get out of the body and go time travel. And I kept imagining myself. Like I was like, okay, I'm getting out today. I'm tonight going to be home. I felt the hug, like I felt my mom squish me and like hugging me so tight, and I felt the bath, like my parents have a bath in the house, and I was like, I know when I get there, my mom's already gonna have food prepared, she's gonna change the sheets to clean sheets, she's gonna prepare a bath for me. So I felt the hot water on my muscles and my muscles relaxing. I felt the soft bed and the clean sheets. I felt them hugging me. I went all the way to like 6 months ahead. I was like, I'm back at my lake, at my home with my soul family. I'm seeing the sunrise and sunsets. Every Sunday we have ecstatic dance there. And I'm like, I'm dancing, I'm shaking my body, I'm stretching it. I just wanted to stretch. And I was like, I feel my body being stretched, my muscles relaxing, and I just time traveled there. I was like, that's where I'm at. Like, if it's hard right now after being there and like, for so many hours. And that's like when it started to get hard, and that's when I was like, I didn't know why, but I just took my phone and I started like filming it. Like I was like, okay, Maya, if that's where you're at and like something is gonna happen, because I don't know how it's gonna unfold, and you're gonna find your phone, that's the message I want my mom to see. I want her to see I was happy the entire time, because I truly was. I was sitting in my bush smiling and like
Wow.
focusing on that. So I took my phone and I started to talk, and that's the video, and then I posted online afterwards. And that was 1 hour before I got out. And
Do you want us to show the video now and then we'll keep going?
can
Let's do it. Okay, so let me try and share that.
it's hard for me to look at it again. It's like, it's weird for me, but
Yeah, it's very hard. I know. You don't have to look if you don't want.
I'm so fucking proud of myself. This moment. For fucking doing it. For breathing, for believing, for praying for myself. I'm so proud of me. I truly am so proud of me. I'm doing such a great job. Everything is in the mind, and I'm writing the script. I'm ready to play, and everything is working out divinely. I'm getting out of here so soon. I can feel it. I just want out, but I'm already out. I can feel the shower. I can feel the hot water on my body. I can feel the clean sheets on my skin. I feel my mom hug me. I'm feeling it all. I'm there already. Time travel is a real thing. It's a whole thing. Just breathing in and out. Slowly.
So that is one hell of a story so far with the video. And we see you in this video smiling, like you said, actually smiling and full of gratitude for everything you do have rather than what you don't have, which is crazy. And you found the strength you needed to keep going at that moment. You had a few more hours after this, right?
the video was actually like literally an hour before.
An hour before the end.
Before I got out. And actually at the end, like I saw a unit of soldiers go by past my bush. And at first I was quiet because I didn't know if, they just killed soldiers and they're putting their uniforms on and trying to get us to come out. And then I heard them talking in Hebrew and they had no accent. So I was like, help, help. It was the first time I talked. I could barely talk. And they were like, who is that? And I'm like, Amaya, Pronastiona, like, get me out. They were like, come out. And I'm like, I can't. I tried to get up and I couldn't. Like, I
couldn't move
into my bush. I couldn't get out of it. the bush was holding me so tight.
Oh my God.
I couldn't get out of my bush, and they helped me out. And I realized that they're going to free Beirut. That's their mission. And I'm like, dude, I've been sitting here for 6 hours. I don't know if you know what's happening there, but I know in there I'm not going. Like, give me a bottle of water, I'm going back to my bush.
Yeah.
I'm not going
Yeah.
in there. And at the same time, as I was communicating with them and I stepped out, I saw the bodies of the people that were with me, and one other survived, and he got out too of a bush. He was hiding near me. And a jeep, like a car, a white car, went by. So the army went there, and I kind of looked at the edge of my eye, like while communicating with the army, like everything happened at the same time. I saw them taking their hands out, and like, the army got them out, and they were like sitting down. I saw, and they looked good. And it turned out to be Israeli Arabics, Bedouin from Rahat. And they were the ones to get me out. They were the ones that got me out of there.
Really?
And actually, the Arabics from Rahat. And at first they told me not to go with them and to go with the army. I was like, no. I took the person that was with me hands. He was kind of shocked, and we started walking. And I looked into their eyes, and I saw they had another Israeli girl with them, and she had a bottle of water. She looked super relaxed, for the situation. They rescued her too. And I looked into their eyes, and I was like, we're getting on this car. And they got me. I didn't even know, but my dad started driving that way, and with the neighbor, they're like, we're getting her out of there. And as he got there 5 minutes before me to one of the police stations in Ofakim, and I got out of the car straight into my dad's arm and broke into tears. I was just like, whoa. I was holding myself, and I was doing such a great job up until that moment. And then even in that moment, I started to cry, and we got into the car, and there was an alarm going off, and everyone was running. I'm like, Dad, let's just get out of here. Like, let's just get out. And I got into the car, and I started crying so much. And at first it was two men. So, they're like, no, stop crying. Everything's okay. I'm like, no, let me do what I need to do. Like, let me cry. I need to cry what I just witnessed. And I heard them afterwards talking. They're like, whoa, they're going to be tens of dead people. And I looked at them, and they were like, what are you talking about? It's going to be hundreds, if not thousands. Like, it's going to be hundreds. In that moment, I realized no one knows what happened there. No one realizes what happens yet. And yeah, it's also another thing that I think that's a really important point for me in that story was that we were 4 people when I picked those 3 people up. One of them had lost his wife, and he got separated from her in the bomb shelters when they started shooting there, into a couple that just kept being on the phone, being really stressed, like, we're gonna die. And at the end, and me, which I was like, I'm getting out of here, we're all gonna be okay, we're getting out, like, it's all good. And at the end, I got out, like, I made it. The 2 of them died, and the other person that had to find his wife, at some point I stopped him from running. He just wanted to get his wife, to find her. And he who had to find his wife and me was like, we're getting out of here, made it out. And we were all in the same situation. They're like, we're gonna die. And
Wow.
it's such a deep reflection to how literally our thoughts and beliefs create our future. He had to make it because he had to find his wife. He had to be there for her. I was like, I'm getting out of here. Like, that's it. Just I don't know. I don't know where I had this calmness from. And it's like, I was so surprised how simple it was for me, because I was really surprised by it. And all I'm working about, and what I think humanity needs to do, is stop making things easy. Everything is so easy, but yet so complicated. Ordering food, like, it's so easy. We press 2 things and the food shows up at our door, but it's so complicated. It goes through so many things. And I believe we need to go back to the simplicity of things. Like, that's why I'm living in a small village in a lake in Guatemala, because I want a simple life. Like, and And I was so surprised by the simplicity it was for me to just breathe and smile and just be present with myself in that moment. And yeah, and I got home, and the minute my mom hugged me and I got to my shower, and I realized they were going through something too, not only me. But I did everything I needed. Like, the first thing I told my dad is, go tell my mom to get rosemary from the garden and boil it for me in water, because it's cleaning energy and it's protecting. And I just went to a bath and I kept pouring rosemary and water on me, and and crying and shaking my butt, because that's where trauma is stored. So I was twerking the entire week, and I was crying and I was hitting the wall also whenever it feels like. And I feel like, because I'm letting everything come up as it comes up, I'm able to be so calm in between. And yeah.
Wow. Fucking hell. Holy guacamole.
Yeah.
Maya, you are fucking amazing. No, this is crazy. This is fucking crazy. And I know you keep saying, I don't know why I was so calm. I think I know it's divine, it's, you've got that power. It happened to me once and I didn't know, just like what you're saying now, I didn't know how I was so calm inside such a mess. I was in a protest in 2021. Obviously, I'm not comparing the horrible situation that you were in to what I'm about to tell you, but just maybe to give a bit of insight. So I was in beginning of 2021. I was in a protest demonstration outside of the Prime Minister's house, Naftali Bennett, back then in Ra'anana. And it was right the day after he called me and millions of other people in Israel. He called us, something along the lines of spraying weapons of whatever, of viruses. Like we're a danger to society. That's what he said. And I came there to protest with hundreds of other people. It was a very small street, and it was packed with people, very angry. But it was a completely nonviolent demonstration. And people were yelling out. They were with their megaphones yelling towards his house and, expressing their rage and anger about what he said and about how people treat us. And then police came. Police was there, and they brought more forces, and they started to be super violent. They started hitting everyone, especially the ones that were standing very close to the house or to the gate. And they just started pushing everyone away. They took one guy and arrested him, and they kept on like being very aggressive and very violent towards women, old women, children, not children, but younger people that were there. They didn't care who it was. They were just like pushing and grabbing and really hurting everyone. And people were falling on the street, on the ground, and they were hurting. And they were more than anything, more than the physical pain, they were shocked because they did not expect to be so aggressively attacked. And when they were attacked, you could see people's faces. Everyone was shocked. Everyone was like starting to become even more aggressive because of that. You yell back at the police officers, trying to fight them, going even closer to the house. It was a big, big mess. It was a big chaos. And I found myself in the middle of all this, quite close to the gate, with my megaphone, coming there to protest. And all of a sudden, all I could feel was calmness. It was the most bizarre thing ever. I wasn't upset. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't like identifying with anyone's feelings from either side. I was just there to be there at that moment. And I started helping people get off the ground, like on their feet again, and told them to go away, like go further away so that they don't hurt themselves. And I could see how shaken everyone was. And I was like 100%. It did not touch me. It didn't touch me. And I could be there for other people. I was there until the end. I then recorded a video just like you that became viral. And I was showing, like, I was completely sweaty after like hours and hours of like helping people get out of there and the violence and everything. But I was fine. And you see me in the video, I'm like super firm, super cool about what happened, and like as I'm supposed to be like offended and hurt and shocked and everything, and I wasn't. And like you, I said like, how the fuck, how is that possible? How come I was not impacted by any of this at all? It didn't, it's as if it went past, it didn't touch me. I was like in my own bubble kind of thing. And I am a very empathetic person. I feel a lot, I feel everything. My heart is open, I see it, I feel it, but it's as if it's like a divine kind of protection. It's as if someone had prepared me to be there in the middle of the fire and not get burned. Like I could be there for other people in that very, very, very tough moment. And I knew at that moment that I had an amazing strength and power to help other people and put myself aside. It wasn't about me, it was about them. And I want to get from you, like, what did you discover about yourself in this horrible incident that has happened to you? What did you learn about yourself?
So I have this mantra I've created for myself because heaven and earth is a real thing for me. Like I live it for a while now. I'm trying to tell people, do you realize that you're living in hell and you can choose to do it differently, to live in heaven. Heaven and earth is real. I keep telling people it's here, it's right here, literally. And this mantra that I have is like, how am I heaven and earth? How am I of service to heaven and earth? And how are we of service to every living being on heaven and earth? Because first of all, we need to understand that we are that. And then we need to first of all take care of ourselves and love ourselves and have compassion for ourselves and be of service to ourselves.
Amen.
And only then, when we have both of them, we realize we're all the same thing. And then how can all of us, like, how can I be of service to others? How can all of us be of service to every living being? That's the intention. That's what I believe in. And in that heart of like, that's what I also wrote in my post, in the heart, like heaven and hell are state of mind, they're choices. And literally in the heart of that living hell for hours, I chose to stay heaven and earth. Like, I feel like my mantra came to life. How am I heaven and earth? By staying heaven and earth in the heart of the living hell. How am I of service to heaven and earth? By sharing it, by showing people it's possible. It's not me. I'm not anything special. I'm exactly like everyone. I'm just like, I just chose to be that and not hell. I chose to act out of love and not out of fear, not out of hate, not out of revenge. I chose heaven and earth. The frequency of heaven and earth is unconditional love. It's like truly loving unconditionally.
Yes.
And also, it's funny because 2 days after it happened, my heart, like after this whole thing, my heart got broken.
What?
Yeah, my heart
Seriously?
got so broken. Yeah, you have no idea.
By someone? By a guy? A person?
By an elven goddesses. My heart got so broken and I was so hurt and I felt so unseen, like after everything that has happened. And for 4 hours I was hurting. I was like, oh, it was like a comedical break out of what we're living right now, you know? And my heart got broken and I talked to her. I'm like, I'm falling in love with people. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a male, female, like I'm falling in love with personality.
Yeah.
She's at the lake and I talked to her. Like, I was 4 hours like, not like, did she really just go back to her ex? The only reason I told her like that I would not want to be her friend anymore is like, if she does that, and she knew that. And after crying, like when I talked to her to the phone that same night, the night after, she cried, I can't imagine my life without her. And I'm like, then you're doing that 2 days after. And like, my heart got really broken. And I talked, like I said, kind of a bit of mean stuff. I'm really centered in myself. And with her, we always said we have this unconditional love to each other. We don't have to be romantic partners, but we have this, she just touches me and my entire nerve system comes down. And like, we're from the same soul family, like from the same star system. Like we have this deep connection. We promised we will always love each other unconditionally. And that's what I'm trying to do with everyone. That's what I'm trying to do with my dog. It doesn't matter if she's my dog or not. I love her, like, and I was like, I said kind of, I was like, you two deserve each other. And, I was like, was really hurting. And the day before I posted this post, I was like, this post is meant to be the frequency of heaven and earth. I'm trying to share something that's like a big bigger, and I can't have that inside of me. So even after all of that, like being so hurt and so unseen, and like getting so mad, I texted her like the night before I posted this video and this post. I'm sorry for the way I spoke. I was hurting. I wanted you to feel the same. Like, I wish you all the best in the world. I hope you're happy and free like you deserve to be, because I truly think she's this amazing, amazing creature that spreads so much light. And I'm sure she didn't do it like, to hurt me. And I'm happy it happened that way, because I let go really fast and I'm ready to receive the new love that's going to come to my life soon. But
Wow.
I was just like, I truly believe that frequency of heaven and earth is unconditional love. And that's like living without the ego. And she didn't do that to me. She lived her life, and it affected me because I
Yes.
love her so much. And I hurt
Yes.
it because I love her. But
Yes.
unconditional love it doesn't matter if she hurts me or not. It's just, I love her for being her. And if that's what she needed to do, and that's what I needed to experience with her, I need to receive that with grace. And it's funny because that was harder for me than sitting in the bush for 6 hours with a living hell around me.
Wow.
But I did that too. And I think we can all do it in every situation, and like just have awareness to that, like being aware that okay, I want to live out of unconditional love, and then compassion to ourselves when we're not able to do it, because it's hard. That day I was like, you deserve it, and I wasn't nice at
Yeah.
all. And I had compassion. I know I'm gonna make mistakes. I made mistakes, so I sent her a message: I'm sorry, I love you, like hoponono, thank you, I'm sorry, I love you, I forgive you. I still choose to take my distance from you, but I love you so much, and I hope you respect that. And just like have awareness to that frequency, that it's there, it's a choice. And then compassion to ourselves first, how we have service to heaven and earth if we're heaven and earth, and then to others, compassion to her, to the terrorists. Like, what did they have to go through in their life to come to a point where they don't see us as human beings? Like, how they wash their minds, and what did they go through that they truly look at me and they don't see me as a human being? I'm sorry for them. That's where they're at. That's a terrible state of mind to be at, and to have compassion with how horrible it is to say to them, to everyone, to the person that broke our heart, and the person that cuts our off in the road. I'm like always sending them protection spell. I hope you get to where you're in such a hurry, and like safely, and like, and where you need to, and just like, and even when I get mad, I'm like, I'm breathing it out. Okay, I got mad, but now I'm sending him protection. Like, so much compassion. We're missing so much compassion on this earth. And heaven and earth is the frequency of unconditional love. Just like, people love, love. Don't be afraid to get hurt. Okay, so you're gonna get hurt.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Exactly. So, and that's what you said before, which I love. Open heart. Yes, we get hurt. Yes, people dump us. Yes, bad stuff happened to us. Yeah, we see horrible things around us. But if we keep our hearts open and we let it break when it needs to break, and we break down with it, and we allow ourselves to break down, we allow ourselves to release control and to just be in pieces for however long it takes. And we're not trying to hide it. We're not trying to run away from it. We're not trying to deny it. We're not trying to pretend we are not. We are just being what we are feeling at that moment. It will go away because it's energy, and energy just moves. And our biggest, I think, pitfall in life is that we think life has anything that is static, that is staying the same. Life is never the same. Life is energy, and energy always moves.
The only
And the
constant
only constant thing in life is change, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. That's the only constant thing. So if we constantly look at the now moment and the now moment and the now moment and embrace whatever it brings, even if it's shit, it's shit. We let ourselves be in a shitty situation, and we trust ourselves that we can snap out of it. We trust ourselves that we are strong enough to hold it. We trust ourselves that we can be with whatever comes up and we'll be fine. in the end, right? Even if it takes time and we have compassion. Wow, you have so much wisdom for such a young girl, but you're such an old, wise soul. I love you. I love you so much.
Thank you. And yeah, I think that I don't know if you want to go there, but I think that it's a lot of also like people having such a hard time with changes because we're trying to hold us on to this illusion of like safety. You know, we
Yes.
have a home, we have a job, we have a partner that's gonna always be here for with us. And like, no, it's all illusions. And sometimes there are
And
people
we
that
have a police and an army and a state and everyone that takes care of us, right?
and it's all
Everything that takes
illusion.
care of us is external to us.
Exactly. And we talked a bit before, and I shared with you that my mom called me Maya because it means water. And 3 years ago, my first day of traveling around the world, I was in Costa Rica and I sat in my hostel in front of this guy, and this Indian guy. They looked at me and he was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I'm like, Maya. He's like, Maya, do you know what Maya means? And I'm like, no, what does it mean? He says the illusion around the heart, the illusion that we live around. And I think it's so funny that's my name because I feel like I never believed it. I never bought that illusion that we need to go to school and then to the army and then learn and then work our entire life to what? Like
For
to do
what?
what at the end? What's gonna happen at the end if I keep suffering? Like what's gonna happen at the end that's gonna be worth it? I want it to be
You,
worth
you get
now.
to the
Like
holy mortgage. You get to the holy temple of selling your economic independence for 25 years
exactly
to the
the
bank.
illusion of
Yay!
safety. We sell our soul, we sell our freedom, we sell our joy. And no, let's my dad is always like also 3 days before the thing happened. I'm living with my parents for like a week now and before the thing happened before that Saturday. And every morning my morning practice is between 1 hour to five each day how I feel. And I was like, I did a 4 hour morning practice and I went up to sit with my parents. They're like, Maya, normal people don't have time for that. Like, what's that? Like, where are you? Where's the reality? Like, 4 hours every day. Where is it gonna help you in life? And here I was 2 days later, 3 days later, like 6 hours of the most important meditation of my life, being able to sit in that bush and being completely present, not running away, not running to my thoughts, oh, I'm gonna die or I'm gonna whatever, just being present with my moment and with myself. And it's a practice, it's every day. It's so much harder to get on the mat every morning and do my breath and yoga and like meditation and my sunbathing, but like it was so much harder to do all of that than it was to sit in that bush. But that's what feels good in my body. That's what makes me wake up in the morning and I do that and I see the difference in my day when I do my practice and when I'm not. So I'm like, okay, that's important to me. That feels better than having a secure job. Like the fact that in Guatemala I have the freedom to have 5 hours of doing that every morning is, yeah, that's worth not having stability. What stability? I feel like I'm more stable than most of my friends that are
Oh,
in
you are.
university right now.
The most important meditation of your life. It was indeed, huh?
It was 100%, like really was the most important meditation of my life. And I feel like after that I also kind of stopped fighting in other ways. Like I used to have sleeping problems when I was younger. I couldn't sleep at all at night. And I was smoking 10 grams of weed a week, like, just to fall asleep. I was running from myself so much. And now I could barely sleep. Like my eyes are so red, I'm barely sleeping. But instead of like in the first days when I just got back, I was like, I can't sleep. And I got back to they're doing it to me and someone's hurting me. And I was like, Maya, no. Like you couldn't sleep before too. And like lately I'm like, okay, just stop fighting it. So I'm waking up at 333 and 444 every morning. And I'm like,
Really?
okay, yeah, it always happens. And I'm like, okay, then let's breathe. So I'm like, I'm waking up and I'm doing my breath work. And I'm like, between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., it's the feminine rising. It's called Dom Shakti, if I'm not wrong. It's the best time to do our spiritual practices. I'm like, okay, I'm up. Let's breathe. Let's do that. Let's not fight it. If my body is up, it probably knows what it's doing, right? Let's start trusting it. And I think also I want to recommend a book, The New Earth. The New Earth, actually, the girl that
New
broke my
Earth,
heart.
Eckhart Tolle? Eckhart
What?
Tolle. By Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
the
The
blue
person
one.
that wrote The Power of Now.
Yes, Eckhart
So
Tolle. I'm reading it as well. I'm like halfway through. It's
yeah,
really
I'm
great.
halfway through, but it talks so beautifully about how our ego is like mine and they're doing it, and it's
Yes.
just like that's one of the books that helped me make sense of human beings like the
Mm-hmm.
most, and helped me be really present, and helped me with letting go of all of my stuff. And the last month, like nothing is mine. Mine is the ego. So like why can't I sleep? Like, no, it's not that I can't sleep. It's that my body is choosing to be awake. So let's accept it right now. Let's stop fighting everything that's happening to us and start being like, okay, if it's happening to me, it's probably for a reason. And now, like, you know, before I left, I did that breath work course a week before, and I looked at my notebook and I wrote there on the last day, my intention for Israel is to share, and to share a lot of things, and the breath, and a lot of other things. And here I am, you know, that horrible thing happened to me, but it led to me sharing, and, you know, for people really listening. And I'm sure that if I would have posted that post without being there, I would have got so much hate, you know, out of everyone. And because I was there, people were really able to listen to me. So yeah, that horrible thing happened to me, and I can't sleep, and my whole body hurts so much, and I'm crying, and I'm punching the wall sometimes, and I'm giving that space. But overall, like, look, he gave me what I wanted. I'm of service to heaven and earth. I'm of service to myself. I can share that, and people, you know, are willing to listen, and I'm so grateful
Yeah,
for that.
people are listening, and your voice is so important. And I feel so privileged that I can give you this little stage of mine so you can make it heard and people can be contributed by it because it's precious, it's gold.
Yeah, thank you so
And you
much.
you you keep talking. You don't stop, okay? You keep showing up and you keep speaking out and you keep being of service to whomever you think you should be of service, because you are just a ray of light. You're a star seed, and you are here to bring that light to people who need it. And
I love
yes,
that you
you
just said it, because I opened the cards, my starseed cards, just before your
really.
the podcast now, and what it gave out is unique nature. You let yourself be seen. He was talking about it's your time to speak up and be seen, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing
Here we go. Here we
it.
go.
Yeah,
We're manifesting it. Yay. It's
calling it
so accurate, dear. It's everything is so accurate. The
always.
shit in life and the good in life is just what we need to get. It's just, if we get stuck in the why me, why, victim, and I don't know, and no, obviously people who are suffering right now are suffering tremendously, and my heart goes out to them and I am with them. But if we accept life, it becomes a little bit easier. Just a little bit easier.
100%.
How are your friends doing that were with you in the party? Are they okay?
Um, Most of them are. And the ones that are alive, they're good. I just had 3 days after the event, I was talking to a friend, and I realized in a 10-minute conversation, I lost 8 friends that died and 2 that got kidnapped. And, you know, that's
8
after,
friends that died.
and 2 that got kidnapped. And that's just adding, like, that was a 10 minutes conversation where I found out about more, you know, and it's just it keeps coming from everywhere. It wasn't just one
Wow.
country, and it's hard, and it's hard, but you know they're in a better place than we are.
I'm
You know,
sure, and I want to say, well, not the two that are kidnapped. I'm going to pray for them to return. And I'm going to pray for them to be safe. And everyone that's listening, please pray as well for everyone who's kidnapped at the moment and everyone who's suffering. That would really help. But for the 8 that are not with us, I'm sure they are watching you. I'm sure they are listening to you. And we can have this conversation for their remembrance, for them.
they're in a better place right now, and it's just, you know, you're in a place after this week where you've been crying and hurting, and hurting your people, and like it's just it's a lot. It's really overwhelming. And yeah, and also I think that one of the other things that's I want to share, and I think is really important, is that I believe, I always say it, I talked about with my family the Shabbat hours before everything happened. The strongest weapon in this whole entire world is collective consciousness. Like,
Yes.
truly. And they call it a TV program because they program our mind. When we watch TV, it's proven that our nervous system gets upset. Our mind doesn't know the difference between a TV show and like real life. So whenever we watch TV, like, think about the movies that we're watching. We're literally, the movies that they show us and the shows, like, we're creating it in our mind, we're manifesting it as we're showing it in our world. Like horror movies, like, I started to do it with the music I'm listening. I love rap music, I
Hmm.
love, dark music, and I realized the words, and that's the mantras in my mind. And I found out this whole scene of like conscious rapping. And I
Really?
can still, yeah, and it's amazing. Wake up in the morning and I meditate, like, amazing things. And but like, truly, like, people are doing diets and trying to have better health, and they're thinking about what they're putting in their body and all those stuff. But what we're putting in our mind, what we're watching, what we're listening, the environment where we're in, is so important. And I see how the collective consciousness, how they try to manipulate us. And I don't understand. For me, it's so clear. It's so obvious. Like, they're trying to get us into a state of fear of that, and because they know how it works. I don't know who's they, but they know exactly how it works. They've been using it for years, and let's be aware of that too. Have compassion for yourself for doing that up until now, and taking responsibility and saying, wait, we can do it differently. Like, if collective consciousness works, let's believe heaven and earth, it's real. Let's believe we're gods. Like, one of my goals in life is to prove we're not only humans. Like, I think the word, like, you're just a human being, is the most limiting belief in the whole entire world. I want to go a year without eating anything just to prove to people we can do so much more. And that's also the song I sent to you that I wanted to post, is
Yes.
about that. It's about, like, we're all gods and goddesses, and heaven on earth is real, and it's literally a choice. And like, just like, let's use it wisely, that weapon, that collective consciousness, our individual consciousness, and bringing them together, sitting, like, there have been studies like that show that collective meditation has stopped like wars and stuff. And like, let's do
Yes.
that instead of
Yes.
sitting in our houses in fear. Let's do that. Let's, like, let's sit and sing and pray together, and love each other, and like hold each other. And like, we can choose what we want in our field. Like, we can choose that. It's our choice. And when we have choice, we have freedom. I feel we're all going on automatic all the time, and how we were trained. I'm a dog trainer, and I
Yes.
see how easy it is to train people the same way we train dogs. And we're so trained, and we're so used to acting automatically. And the minute we stop doing things automatically, and we breathe, and we realize we have a choice, that's where freedom is.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
and that's my goal, to free myself and to leave heaven and earth, and to show everyone we're not just humans. We're so much more than that. That's what I believe. And up until now, it's been working for me. And I'm working more on sharing it, because so many people that I shared it with, like, what are you talking about? You're going crazy over there. And I'm like, no, no,
No, no,
I
no,
feel
no, no,
so
no, no.
like, I feel so centered. And I really believe that. I truly believe we're more than just humans. Yes, we have our human bodies, and we have so many things in our world that we can't see. When they just discovered radio waves, no one believed it at first because we couldn't see it. And when we can smell in that like spectrum, and dogs can smell like that, and cats like that, and horses like that, and just the fact that we can smell it or see it, because bats see the words differently than us, but they see the world. Like, the things exist. The fact that our human body can see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yes.
And
We've been programmed to think that we only have five senses and that's it. And the world is only detectable by those five senses. And there's nothing more than that. And this is the biggest lie. This is the illusion. because life is so much more miraculous than just what we see, feel, eat, smell, and sense.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
also, I believe, like, I had that crystals with me, and those are crystals, are very special crystals that I brought from the lake, and they were given to me on a purpose to spread the crystal grid in Israel. And I have this really big crystal that's in the shape of Israel, actually, that I brought here
Really?
with me to Guatemala to bury. And it's
Wow.
from the same batch of the crystal that was with me. And when I was in the bush, so many of my friends that I brought the crystals to, that knew that I was there, sending me pictures with their crystal, and they're like, "We're breathing with you." And I felt
Wow.
it. I truly felt it. And I want to also share that I just started to, not that long ago, I started to do work with magnets. I do therapy with magnets to myself and to others. I found that I have superpowers with them. I love them. And the reason I love magnets so much is because they're the only crystal, they're a mineral, right? They're a
Yep.
mineral that was made in the ground, and they're the only crystal that we're able to see their powers and we can feel
Yes.
it.
Yes.
But that's why I love them so much. But crystals in general, all those things, like their spirit science, I like, to anyone who doesn't believe those things, go on YouTube, look up spirit science. They explain the science of the spirit, of everything we're talking about. There's so many scientifical, like, facts that no one's sharing with us. No one's teaching that in school, but facts like that are actually real. And crystals have the ability to remember stuff. We use it in watches and computers and television because they have the ability to remember. They're so precious.
As
And
well as water, the healing power
as
of
well as
water
water.
and the
Exactly.
ability of water to remember information and to transfer information.
And
Unbelievable. Many, many things that most people are not aware of exist.
astrology, the astrology, the moon is like influencing the ocean, the huge body of water that can destroy all of us, the strongest thing in the world. It's influencing the way it moves. We're 70% water. Are we really that arrogant that we think the moon is affecting the ocean but not us? That's
Exactly.
a really arrogant thought. Like, as human beings, we're 70% moon, like water. If the moon affects the ocean, it affects us to 100%. Like, I don't see, like, scientifically, okay, if humans want science facts, there's so many. You just have
Yes,
to open your mind and ask
exactly.
questions,
It
and
doesn't need to be a
find
doctor
evidence.
or a lawyer or someone with a stamp or a diploma from an institution in order for you to listen, in order for you to open your minds, and then trust your discernment ability to go and check things out and verify them and know whether if they're true or not, or if they work for you or not, right? And we have grown so so accustomed to trust experts who are telling us stuff that we forgot to trust ourselves. And I really connected to what you said about collective consciousness and how we underestimate that or not even aware of that. In fact, most people are not even aware of their own consciousness and being aware of what they feel and what they do and how they behave and their automatic patterns and how they can choose at any given moment. They just work on automatic pilot. And so I don't know. What you said reminded me of something I wrote today. I didn't publish it yet, but I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to share it with you. So, humanity is at war with itself. We've grown so detached from ourselves that we automatically reject any invitation to look inside and find our own internal battles in attempt to resolve them, neglecting to understand that only when we find peace within, we can vibrate it externally. We will never find peace if we continue guarding our egos and refuse to sort out our internal wars first.
Oh,
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, Maya. I'm going to play the song you've written, right? You wrote it.
Yeah, I wrote it 6 months ago, and there is this song in Hebrew talking about how we keep losing brothers and sisters, and I kept singing it 6 months ago, and I was like, no, I want to make you happy. And I made my own version of it, and my own version of heaven on earth. in that song, and it feels more relevant than ever. And that recording was 2 days or a day after I got back from my bush. And yeah, I'd love to share that with whoever wants to listen to it.
So I'm gonna play that song for the ending of our beautiful episode, and I'm gonna also include all the different links to follow Maya and look at her work, and support her with whatever she needs. So I'm gonna put all the links in the notes if you want to reach out or follow. And also follow her music, because I have a feeling you're going to keep developing yourself in that direction, and you should, because you're very talented. And just for finishing this very, very inspiring conversation, and very truthful, very honest, very open-hearted, some very brutal at times, but very authentic and real conversation. What is a message that you want to leave people with, and also maybe a message to your beautiful self?
So I think just keep choosing out of love, like unconditional love. That's the only thing I have to say. Have compassion and just keep choosing out of love. Keep choosing heaven and earth, and keep giving thanks. That's one of the most amazing frequencies I've had. So I want to say, like, to finish with saying thank you, and to you, for listening, for giving me the stage to talk. Thank you for every person that has taken the time to listen to us talking. And time is the most precious and valuable, like, resource we have. So taking the time to listen, I'm so very grateful for that. And thank you for myself for being alive and for doing the work and breathing. And yeah, just I hope every loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, may every living being be happy, every living being be free, may every living being all over the world be forever happy and free. That's my prayer every morning. And yeah, thank you so much.
And I pray this with you together, and everyone else can join us. Thank you so much. Let's even take a breath for this beautiful ending.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, my dear. You are truly an inspiration, and I'm privileged to have found you. And I'm going to play the song now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just a human sitting here, dwelling on what could have been. I'm just a human after all. That's what I've always been told. Then I stopped. I stopped and breathed, closed my eyes and stopped and breathed, stopped and breathed. Open my eyes, now I may see, oh heaven on earth, oh heaven on earth. It's a frequency waiting to unfold. Oh heaven on earth, oh heaven on earth. Now it's up to you, oh it's up to me to stop and breathe, just stop and breathe. Now that we stopped, oh we stopped and breathed, we can look into each other's eyes, look into each other's eyes. I gaze and breathe, I gaze and breathe. Now you see, we're all divinity, we are all gods. היא בצעקות שבר, עוד אח אחד ירד אל הקבר, את צעקות אבא שומעים מכל עבר. Heaven on earth, heaven on earth, oh heaven on earth, heaven on earth. It's a frequency that we can choose to be. It's what we are, it's our birthright. And it's all a choice, it's all a fucking choice to be here on heaven on earth, heaven on earth. אולי הגיע עת לשאול שאלות, וכמה זמן נוכל כך להמשיך ולחיות? האם המלחמה שבגבולות מנותקת מהאלימות שאת חיינו משתקת? נראה שהמתח פה אף פעם לא נגמר. פישי הגדול היה זה שאמר שכולנו שווים בסופו של דבר. אז מדוע זה את זה נשיב אל עפר? So please just hear me out now. Just stop and breathe, just stop and breathe. If everyone with just a little trust, just stop and breathe. Everyone, please just stop and breathe. Oh heaven on earth, oh heaven on earth. It's a frequency that we can always be. There is nothing to do, just be here on heaven on earth. It's all about simplicity here on heaven on earth. So please come join us right here on heaven on earth, oh heaven on earth. It's real, for real, yo. Guys, we're all with you, waiting, praying.